Representé aquí la primera parte de mi conversación con Richard Luthmann, una persona que es abogado y que estuvo internado en el mismo centro de detención, el Centro de Detención Metropolitano en Brooklyn, en Nueva York, donde actualmente está Genaro García Luna. Ha estado ahí Genaro García Luna desde que fue detenido, lo detuvieron en Dallas, lo trasladaron aquí a Nueva York y desde entonces pasa sus días y sus noches en ese centro de detención al que acudimos allá al exterior al inicio de esta semana. Richard Luthmann nos contaba ayer lo que pasa adentro, lo que pasa cuando sacan a las personas a acudir a sus audiencias, aquí atrás a la corte del Distrito Este, cómo se cambian, cómo los revisan, el trato que se les da. Y le pregunto a continuación si este trato, a pesar de que se les debe considerar inocentes hasta que se demuestre lo contrario, es justo para eso, para una persona que se debe considerar inocente hasta que se demuestre lo contrario. Aquí la segunda parte de esta charla. Yes, and whether anyone like García Luna should be treated or said innocent, no. The things you are telling me look like this is not fair treatment for someone who needs to be treated as innocent until the jury gets to a verdict.
Yes, there's a huge part of American law which is the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, and there's a big tension here in American law which is related to bail and preventative detention. And
yes.
So 1984, the Congress enacted an act called the Bail Reform Act, which allows for the prosecutor to ask the judge to hold someone preventatively prior to a trial because they believe them to either be a flight risk or a danger to society, to the community, or any person. In this case, they obviously said that Garcia Luna would be a flight risk, because he was not a U.S. person, and he would probably leave the jurisdiction, and he may never come back. So they were able to bring him in. Also, they made claims of potential dangerousness because of the relationship to El Chapo, its relationship to the cartels. Who knows who might be tried to be silenced, and who knows what might happen with that amount of money. I was in the prison in Brooklyn, MDC, while El Chapo was in custody at the MCC across the river in Manhattan, and there was still security protocols in the other prison that I was in the MDC, because El Chapo was that big. They were worried that El Chapo was going to get to guards or get to U.S. Marshals or be able to bribe people, and so they had all of the prisoners on lockdown whenever he was going to court on those days, just to make sure that there was no extra commotion. So the case like this is high stakes for the United States government, and so they're going to pull out all the stops to try to ensure that there's nothing that affects what's going on. There's no way that that Garcia Luna will not face the law, and that's a big part of what's happening.
Yes, inside MDC, do you hear about Garcia Luna the time you were there?
He came after I was gone. They picked him up in about 2020. By that point, I had left in early 2020, and I had been transferred to Allenwood Prison in Pennsylvania.
He arrived just on December 2019. So just a few days, no?
I was there probably. We overlapped maybe for about a month or two, but I had no personal interaction with him because when he first got to the MDC, they had him in protective custody in the special housing unit, which is a unit where it's like solitary confinement. And he was in that unit for his own protection because, like I said, they were worried that someone might try to take a run at him, or someone might try to get rid of him. There might be some type of prison hit, or given the relationship of all the powerful people that are involved. I think that they loosened up his security protocols, and they allowed him to go onto a regular unit. And these units have 120 prisoners in them. The vast majority of those prisoners are pre-trial prisoners that can't make bail. And so a lot of times the judges will say that they're either they're going to be remanded into the custody of the Bureau of Prisons to stay at the Brooklyn MDC pending their case. And a lot of the people there are gang members. In New York, you have the Bloods, and you have the Crips, and you have MS-13, and you have the Latin Kings, and you have a lot of drug dealing gangs and violent gangs, and a lot of those individuals are remanded, as well as some of the mafia the Italian mafia, the Russian mafia, the Albanian mafia, some Mexican mafia as well. And so those are a lot of the individuals that you'll find in that jail. Also, you'll find a few white-collar people with large fraud cases. You'll also find other individuals with all different run-of-the-mill types of extortions or any type of violent type case where they may have had a criminal history. If they've been in prison before, there's a good chance that they get remanded. So there's a mixed bag of people that he could be with. There's a large number of Spanish-speaking people, so he'll have plenty of people to talk to. But there are also, a lot of, American people in the prison as well.
Okay, and last question about the things that happen inside the court, or what can happen inside the court. When an inmate is there, does he has a chance to interact with a member of his family? For example, today there was the spouse of Garcia Luna inside the audience room. Is there any chance during this day to have any interaction, or just only like face to each other inside that courtroom?
The court is controlled by the judge. And to the extent that the judge may permit that, that's when it would happen. And it's there's a bit of discretion to the United States Court Security Service and the U.S. Marshals, but most of the time they don't allow interaction with families. But there are some judges that will allow family members to come sit next to their loved ones, the defendant, at certain points. While the jury may not be there, or allow them to go and embrace them for a moment. My judge, when I was in the court, his name was Jack Weinstein. He's since passed away, but he was well known for that type of compassion, for allowing defendants to sit next to their family members and talk to their family members and have a moment with their family members in the courtroom. It just all depends on the judge.
Yes. Okay, everything on public, I mean inside the courtroom, not in another room separate.
Yeah, a lot of times there wouldn't be that type of accommodation. Okay. They just usually don't allow it. The security is far too great. The security concerns. The worry is that some type of information or materials might be slipped to the defendant, contraband, something like that. So there's a visiting procedure at the Brooklyn MDC, and that's a rather onerous procedure. It takes an hour to get into the building and go through several levels of security and metal detectors and pat downs and everything else. That would be probably the only way that an individual in the family could go see Garcia Luna. The lawyers would be able to see him and talk to him and whatnot, but that's about it.
Okay, Richard, thank you very much for all this information that you just gave us. Again, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.